Let me ask you something. How many times have you sat there dreaming, wishing, hoping for life to change, for a break, for a sign, for a door to open? Well, here it is. But listen, it's not the world's job to give you opportunity. It's yours to create it. And that starts when you force yourself, not when it's easy, not when it's convenient, but when it's hard, when it's cold, when it hurts. That's where greatness lives. You want something? Don't just sit there thinking about it. Don't just write it down and stare at it. Don't wait for motivation. Move anyway. Because life don't wait for you to feel like it. Discipline is doing it when every part of you says no. That's what separates the doers from the dreamers. You think the people at the top got there by being comfortable? No, they bled for it. They broke for it. They kept going when nobody believed in them, not even themselves. You don't rise by luck. You rise by choice. A choice to get up at 5 a.m. when you're tired. A choice to study when your friends are partying. A choice to grind when no one is watching. A choice to force yourself to take action when your body says stop. You say you want change. But what are you willing to give up for it? Comfort? Excuses? Old habits? Because nothing changes until you do. And let me tell you something. You don't have to be the smartest, the fastest, the strongest. But you do have to be the most relentless, the most hungry, the most committed to showing up. Every damn day, whether it's raining or shining, whether you're ready or not. Let me tell you something. Most people, they wait. They wait for the perfect moment, the right feeling, the spark. They wait until they're inspired, until the stars align, until everything feels just right. And that's why most people stay stuck. Because that moment, that feeling, 9 times out of 10, it never comes. You gotta stop letting emotion run your life. Stop letting feelings be the gatekeepers of your future. You're not always gonna feel motivated. You're not always gonna feel strong. There are gonna be days when you wake up and every fiber in your body screams, not today. Days when doubt is louder than your dream. But that's the moment, right there. That's where the line is drawn between the ones who make it, and the ones who don't. See, action don't need your permission. It don't need a pep talk. It just needs you to move. Whether your heart's in it or not, whether your mind's ready or not, you show up, you do the thing, because you made a promise to yourself. And it's time you start keeping that promise. Discipline is stronger than emotion. And when you start acting on discipline, not feelings, that's when the shift happens. That's when you begin to build the version of yourself that doesn't fold under pressure, that doesn't flinch when it's hard, that doesn't wait for motivation, because you became the motivation. Think about the people you admire. Not one of them got there by feeling their way into success. They acted, they moved. When it was raining, when they were tired, when they were broke, they didn't wait for life to feel good. They forced it to become good by pushing forward through the bad. You can't afford to be a prisoner of your feelings, because your feelings, they lie. They tell you you're not good enough. They tell you tomorrow's better. They tell you it's too late. And if you listen too long, you start to believe them. But action tells the truth. Action says I'm still here. Action says I may not have it all figured out, but I ain't quitting. Action builds confidence, builds momentum, builds you. So the next time you hear that voice saying, wait, rest, maybe later, you talk back. You say no, I move now, I grind now, I rise now, and you take that step, even if it's shaky, even if it hurts, because every step forward, no matter how small, puts distance between who you are and who you used to be. And that right there, that's how you win. Not by waiting, by moving. Comfort is a liar. It tells you you're fine where you are, that you've done enough, that you don't need to push harder, go further, dig deeper. It whispers sweet nothings in your ear, keeps you warm, keeps you safe. But let me ask you, has comfort ever changed your life? Has comfort ever built something worth remembering? See, growth doesn't live in the easy. It don't live in the soft moments. It lives in the stretch, in the strain, in the days where your hands are shaking, your heart is pounding, and every part of you wants to quit, but you don't. That's where the magic is. That's where the beast in you is born. You don't rise by luck. No, that's a fantasy people tell themselves to stay still. You rise by choice. You rise by waking up and saying, I'm not staying here. I'm not settling. You rise by walking away from comfort, even when it feels good, and stepping into challenge, even when it feels like hell. You want to level up? Then stop clinging to what's easy. Stop hiding in routine. Stop making excuses. You already know what you need to do, but you're scared it might hurt. Guess what? It will. But pain is part of the process. Discomfort is the currency of growth. Every scar, every setback, every sleepless night, That's the price. You don't get to the next level on discount. There's a part of you, deep down, that knows you were made for more. That voice that whispers, there's something greater in you, but you've buried it under comfort. You've drowned it out with distractions, and as long as you stay where it's safe, you'll never hear that voice clearly. You gotta step out into the unknown. You gotta feel the cold, face the fear, walk through the... That's how you unlock that voice. That's how you find out who you really are. Comfort is easy, growth is earned, and every time you choose to stay comfortable, you delay the life you were meant to live. You rob yourself of greatness, not because you weren't capable, but because you weren't willing. So I'll tell you this, the door to the next version of you, it don't open from the inside. You gotta kick it down. You gotta move with urgency, with purpose, with fire. Not tomorrow, not later, now. Because while comfort will keep you where you are, discomfort will take you where you're meant to be. And the longer you wait to leave that comfort behind, the longer you stay stuck in a life that doesn't match your potential. Everybody wants to win, but not everybody wants to show up. That's the difference. See, talent might get you in the door, but consistency, that's what keeps you in the room. That's what builds the foundation when nobody's clapping, when the lights are off, when the crowd's gone. It's in the silence, in the grind, in the unseen. That's where success is born. Most people, they show up when it's easy, when it's exciting, when it feels new and fresh. But what about on the days when it's boring, when it's cold, when it feels like nothing's happening? That's where people fall off. They stop because they think the results should have come already. They think the work should have paid off. But this game don't pay in comfort. It pays in reps. You show up every day not because you see instant results, but because you believe something is building underneath the surface. You trust the process. You trust that even the days that feel empty, they're not wasted. You don't train just to perform. You train to become. That's what consistency does. It transforms you when you're not even watching. The gym's empty, you still show up. The project's dragging, you still push forward. You're tired, discouraged, unseen. You show up anyway. Because the strongest version of you is forged in those quiet moments, when no one's cheering, when no one's watching, and you do it because it needs to be done. Discipline ain't loud, success ain't glamorous. The real work, it's done in the shadows. It's the daily decision to keep going. Even when your mind says stop, it's waking up, lacing up, and getting back to it with no guarantee, no applause, no shortcuts. Most people are addicted to the outcome, but the real ones, they're addicted to the routine. They fall in love with the grind, because they understand that greatness doesn't show up in a single moment. It's built brick by brick, one choice at a time. The days you're tired, the days you're doubting, the days you feel like quitting, those are the days that matter most. Consistency is power, because it makes you undeniable. You keep showing up, eventually people gotta pay attention. Eventually the work speaks so loud, the world can't ignore it. But that only happens if you don't quit. So don't chase hype, chase mastery, chase presence. Wake up and give everything you got to the day in front of you. Again and again, until your habits become character. Until your routine becomes legacy. You don't need perfect days. You need repeated ones. Show up. Every damn day. That's how you separate yourself. That's how you become the one they never saw coming. Everybody wants the reward, but not everybody's willing to pay the price. You say you want change, you say you want success, but what are you willing to give up for it? That's the real question. Because this ain't about what you want. It's about what you're ready to sacrifice. You think you can keep all your old habits, all your comfort zones, all your excuses, and still build something great. Nah, it don't work like that. Growth has a cost. And the reason most people stay stuck isn't because they don't know what to do. It's because they're not willing to let go of the things that are holding them back. You say you want to be disciplined, but you don't want to give up comfort. You say you want clarity, but you won't let go of distractions. You want strength, but you avoid the pain that builds it. It's like trying to climb a mountain with your arms full of baggage. You ain't going anywhere until you drop what's weighing you down, and it's gonna hurt. Sacrifice always does. Waking up early hurts. Cutting off toxic people hurts. Saying no to temptation hurts. Turning off that phone, walking away from the crowd, isolating yourself just to stay focused. It's not fun. But comfort never created a legacy. Easy never built a warrior. Sacrifice is the entrance fee to the life you say you want. Look around. Every person who made something of themselves had to let something go. They gave up sleep. They gave up partying. They gave up comfort, fear, laziness, all of it. Not because they had to, but because they chose to. That's what separates them from the rest. It's not about being better. It's about being willing. Willing to walk away from the things that are killing your future. Willing to say, this thing right here, this thing is holding me back. And then having the guts to cut it loose. Even if it's hard, even if it's scary. You want to grow? Then stop making excuses for the very things that are keeping you average. Stop justifying your bad habits. Stop protecting your weaknesses. Because those excuses, those little lies you keep telling yourself, they're the walls between you and your potential. And as long as you keep feeding them, you'll never break through. You don't need more time. You don't need more motivation. What you need is less baggage, less excuses, less of what's easy, and more of what's necessary. You gotta be hungry enough to sacrifice now for the life you want later. So ask yourself, what are you willing to walk away from? What are you willing to bury, so you can build something greater? 'Cause until you're willing to give up the lesser, you'll never hold the greater. That's the truth. And that truth, that's where your freedom starts. You're not always gonna feel like it. That's just the truth. There'll be mornings where the bed feels like a trap, days where your mind is heavy, your body's tired, and the motivation is gone. You'll tell yourself, maybe tomorrow, maybe later, but later turns into never real quick. When you live like that, you keep waiting for the perfect mood, the perfect mindset, and you'll wake up a year from now in the same exact spot, same problems, same excuses, same cycle. That's why you gotta force yourself to move, not because you're ready, not because you feel powerful, but because the only way to become powerful is to start moving when it's the hardest. That's the moment that matters most. When your will is weak, when the voice in your head's telling you to sit down, and you move anyway. That first step, that one forced, ugly, messy step, that's the spark. That's how momentum begins. See, momentum don't show up and knock on your door. You gotta go out and drag it into your life. You gotta pull it in through effort, through sweat, through repetition. At first it'll feel like you're pushing a boulder uphill. Slow, painful, frustrating. But if you just keep pushing, if you just keep showing up, that boulder starts rolling. And once it rolls, it don't stop easy. But none of that happens if you don't force that first move. Waiting for motivation is a trap. It's a lie dressed up as self-care. Motivation is inconsistent. It's a feeling. And feelings change with the wind. You can't build a future on something that's fragile. But movement, that's real, that's solid. When you force yourself to act, even on the worst day, you're sending a message to your mind. We don't wait, we move. And over time, that forced action becomes discipline. Discipline becomes identity. And that identity, that's the person you've been trying to become all along. The one who doesn't fold under pressure. The one who doesn't stop when it's hard. The one who keeps going. It doesn't have to look pretty. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just move. Go for the run. Open the book. Make the call. Hit the rep. Take the small, uncomfortable, awkward step forward. Because even if you have to drag yourself, you're still moving. And that's what builds momentum. It's not about going fast. It's about not stopping. Keep the pressure on. Keep the fire lit. Even if all you can give today is 40%, give that full 40. Show yourself that quitting ain't an option. Force it if you have to. Push yourself into motion. Because once you get moving, once you build that rhythm, everything changes. Momentum shows up. Confidence grows. Progress begins. And it all started with one decision. I move no matter what.